to share the link with our family and friends so we can benefit from this, inshallah ta'ala. فليتفضل مشكور أستاذنا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله ولي الصالحين، والصلاة والسلام على من بعث رحمة للعالمين، نبينا وحبيبنا وقرة عيننا محمد بن عبد الله وآل آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بما جاء به إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا يا رب العالمين. Yeah, brothers, welcome to our sitting today, inshallah, that the brothers on the Muslim platform had put together. And every gathering that it's a knowledge of gathering, it's a knowledge gathering, it's a gathering that is a praiseworthy gathering that the Prophet ﷺ was always encouraged all of us to be a part of. As you guys know, Allah spoke highly of the people that seek knowledge in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ also spoke about the importance of knowledge in the Muslim community. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. Now whoever travels a path in search of knowledge, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make easy for him a path to paradise. And that's a great encouragement, or that's a great motivation for anybody to want to seek knowledge, especially the knowledge of Islam. And that's the knowledge that's being spoken of in this hadith. And there's several more hadith that speaks about the importance of knowledge or the merits of seeking knowledge. Another hadith about the fadl or the merits of seeking knowledge is when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَفَضْلُ الْعَالِمِ عَلَى الْعَابِدِ كَفَضْلِ الْقَمَرِ عَلى سَائِرِ الْكَوَاكِبِ إِنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ إِنَّ الْأَنْبِيَاءَ لَمْ يُوَرِّثُوا دِينَارًا وَلَا دِرْهَمًا إِنَّمَا ورثوا العلم فمن أخذ به أخذ بحظ وافر. That the prophets, or the virtue of the scholar over the worshipper is like that of the moon over the stars. And verily the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets, because the prophet do not leave behind any gold or silver, but rather they only leave behind knowledge, and whoever has taken that knowledge has taken an abundant of fortune. Now, again, speaking about knowledge, the scholars, are of the opinion that there are certain type of knowledge that is obligatory upon every individual, upon every Muslim. And the reason for that is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that states that طالب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم, that seeking knowledge is a duty upon every Muslim. And this is a hadith that was collected by Ibn Majah and was authenticated as a authentic hadith. Now, understanding the Quran is an essential part of a religious knowledge that's mandatory for every Muslim. And that's the reason why we gathered here today, to speak about Islam, to speak about the Quran. Now, Allah did not reveal the Quran solely for recitation purposes. It's not just so we can recite and not know exactly what we're reciting, but Allah revealed it as a source of guidance and enlightenment for humanity. And what uses the Quran if a person only recites it but doesn't even understand what they're reciting, let alone comprehend exactly the message of the Quran? It's akin to a donkey that's carrying loads of books without comprehending their value. Now, Muslims are obligated to acquire any knowledge that safeguards their religion, that safeguards their religion. So when we say talib al-ilm is faridah, that seeking knowledge is a duty upon every Muslim, it's any knowledge that's going to prevent you from falling into shirk. That's the knowledge that's dutiful upon every Muslim. You don't have to go and you don't have to go and memorize the whole of Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. Nobody's saying that. But what they're saying here is that it's obligatory and mandatory upon every Muslim to seek a knowledge that's going to prevent them from falling out of the fold of Islam and falling into shirk wa yadhu billah. Hence why the um, the scholars have made understanding the Quran. They, without further ado, we'll begin our sitting tonight, inshallah, with the tafsir of Surah Al-Falaq. As you guys, as the brother, I think it was Brother Luqman that gave the introduction, and he said that our sitting tonight is about the tafsir of Al-Mua'withaatayn, and as you know, it's consisting of two surah, Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Naas. But now, inshallah, we're going to begin with Surah Al-Falaq. Surah Al-Falaq, as you guys might not know, or you may know, is Surah Al-Madaniyah. It was revealed in Al-Medina. It has 5 verses, and it has in it 23 words. It is not the shortest surah in the Quran, but it is amongst the shortest surah in the Quran, and is known as Qisar Surah. Yani, there's this thing called Qisar Surah in the Quran. It is amongst the Qisar Surah, meaning that the shortest of the surahs in the Quran. Now, there are several ahadith concerning the virtues of this beautiful surah, and it shares, this hadith shares the virtues with that of Surah An-Nas, because it's called Al-Mu'awwidhatayn, so they share the same virtue and the same status in terms of their value. طيب, we'll mention a few of those hadith. Well, from the most famous of those hadith is the one that was collected by Al-Imam Muslim and a few of the Ashab al-Sunan, Ka Ahmed and Nasa'i and Trimidi. May Allah be pleased with all of them. It was recorded on the authority of Uqbah bin Amir, and that the Prophet ﷺ said, the Prophet ﷺ said to Uqbah, said, Alam tara ayatin unzilat hadhi layla lam yura mithlahunna qat. Have you not seen that there is a verse that was revealed to me tonight, the like of which has not been seen or revealed before? And then Uqba said, what are they? The Prophet ﷺ said, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ وَقُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. And again, this kind of verses or this kind of surahs have not been revealed to anybody uh, before. This is from the merits and the importance of this surah. Now, Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah, also recorded from Uqbah that he said that whilst he was riding with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yani, they were on a journey together, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Uqbah, قال صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عقبة ألا تركب, يعني, oh Uqbah, will you not ride? And Uqba was obviously afraid that this might be considered an act of disobedience by not taking the Prophet ﷺ's offer. So the Prophet got upon the camel and rode the camel. And whilst he was riding, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Ya Uqba, ألا أعلمك سورتين من خير سورتين قرأ بهما الناس? Yani, should I not teach you 2 surahs? These are the 2 of the best surahs that the people recite. So Uqba said to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, Naam, تفضل, yani, teach me. Yes, teach me, what are they? So the Prophet ﷺ taught him how to recite قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, and also he taught him how to recite قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Then when the call for prayer was given, the Prophet ﷺ led the people in prayer, and he recited these 2 surahs in the prayer. And afterwards, after the prayer was done, the Prophet ﷺ passed by Uqba, and he said to Uqba, he said to him, كيف رأيت يا عقبة أقرأ بهما كلما نمت وكلما قمت. Yani, that, before you. So when the Prophet ﷺ finished praying, he went by Uqba and he said to Uqba, what do you think? And you recite these 2 surahs when you go to sleep and when you get up from sleep. Again, this is where we get the idea of reciting Surah Al-Falaq wa Nas wa Ikhlas before going to sleep. There's going to be more hadith as we go through the lesson, inshallah. So yes, that's the hadith. Another hadith that was collected by Imam Nasa'i about the merits of this beautiful surahs. It was from the authority of Ibn Abis al-Juhani, and he said that the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Ya Ibn Abis, Ya Ibn Abis, ala adulluka أو ألا أخبرك بأفضل ما يتعوذ به المتعوذون. Yani, yeah, Ibn Abis, should I not guide you to something or inform you about something of the best thing that those who seek protection use for protection? So Ibn Abbas replied to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "Yeah, yani, yes, please, yes, teach me." So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "قل أعوذ برب الفلق وقل أعوذ برب الناس هاتان سورتان." Yani, قل أعوذ برب الفلق وقل أعوذ برب الناس. These two surahs are what the people that seek protection use to seek protection. So these are from the little hadith about the importance of Surah Al-Falaq or Surah Al-Nas. Now, let's get into the surah. قال سبحانه بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. Now, the meaning of this verse familiarly, translates to what everybody already knows as, say, I seek refuge with the Lord of Falaq from the evil of what he has created, from the evil of the ghasiq when waqab, and from the evil of the blowers of knots, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. That's the generic translation. But what we're going to do tonight, inshallah, or this evening, is get a little bit further or a little bit deeper into these meanings. Now, قوله قل أعوذ برب الفلق، أي قل يا محمد ألتجئ وأستجر إلى الله من كل شر ما خلق. Now, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Qul in the Quran, as everybody knows, this is Allah is commanding and is directing the kalam to his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Allah is telling his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say, O Muhammad, that I al-taj'u wa astajir, yani that the shortest way of saying it is I seek refuge, but to explain it even further to people is like that I am sticking with you. I am coming closer to you and sticking with you, Ya Allah, away from everything else. Yani that I am sticking with you as close as whatever can stick close to anything. The Arabs used to say these things there's this saying that the Arabs used to say about al-isti'adha. They used to say about al-isti'adha that يعني الأصل في الاستعاذة الالتصاق, يعني to stick close to something. And they used to say this, they used to have this saying called أطيب اللحم أعوذ, يعني أطيب اللحم أعوذ, أي ما كان ملتصقا بالعظم. يعني the Arabs used to say that the best or the most delicious of meat is the one that's closer to the bone. يعني أعوذ, يعني that's multasiqan, and that's close to the bone. So that's how close a person wants to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, away from the evil that he has created. Yani, so you're seeking refuge, but that's just to give you a deeper understanding of how important that refuge is, that you're that close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil that he has created. Now, al-falaq, al-falaq, the great companion and mufassir of the Quran, Ibn Abbas, put it simply as just morning. And obviously, you guys would say daybreak. That's what's in the Quran. Ibn Abbas translated simply as morning. And Ibn Abbas is the mufassir of the Quran. If anybody understands the Quran, nobody understands it more than Ibn Abbas, because of the anhuma, because of the dua that the Prophet ﷺ made for Ibn Abbas, that Allah should give him the understanding of the Quran. So yes, he said it's morning, and some, like I said, called it daybreak. And this has been reported from other scholars as well, like the likes of Mujahid and plenty more scholars. They said that the word was clearly used in its meaning. When Allah said Falikul Isbah, yani that Allah is the cleaver of the daybreak. So if you say daybreak, if you say morning, it's all the same. You're all saying the same thing. It's similar to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said Falikul Isbah, that Allah is the cleaver of the daybreak. So Allah told his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to seek refuge with him from the evils of from the evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. So Allah is Rabb al-Falaq. Allah is the Rabb al-Falaq. Is the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Say, Ya Muhammad, that I seek refuge with the Lord of the daybreak, the Lord of morning, from what? Min sharri ma khalaq. A min sharri kulli makhluqat. Everything, Allah is the creator. So everything else is the creation. And everything in that creation has in it evil and has in it good. You don't know where the evil is going to come from. So you're just going to summarize everything as min sharri ma khalaq, yani from the evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And this is a clear evidence for people that might not know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of all things. Yani is not only the creator of good things, but is also the creator of things that are bad and evil. He creates them. And Allah, nobody else. Shaitan cannot create anything. Shaitan does not have the power of creating anything and doesn't have the power to. The only thing that he has the power to do is to trick and deceive you. And he does that, obviously how he does that is going to be explained in our second surah in today, in surah Naas. But this is a clear dalil and a clear proof that Allah creates evil and Allah creates good. And also the way when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said min sharri ma khalaq, and جاء في الحديث نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقول أعوذ بكلمات الله تامات من شر ما خلق، أو كان يقول أعوذ بكلمات الله تامات من كل شيطان وهم ومن كل عين لامة. And that the Prophet ﷺ also used to encourage the people and his companions to seek refuge from the evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. You don't know where this evil is going to come from, but wherever it's going to come from, your refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient as a shelter against this evil. So when you say, "A'udhu bi kalimatillahi tammat," I seek refuge with the perfect word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from everything that he has created. And also he used to make dua for his sibtain, for his grandkids, Hassan and Hussein, and he used to say كل عين لما. He used to rub that over his grand شر غاسق إذا وقب, يعني from the evil غاسق وقب. Now as for غاسق, Ibn Jarir
Apologies for the disconnection. This is due to our stars dialing in through his mobile phone. He should be back soon, inshallah.
Sorry. How long was I gone for?
No, just a few seconds.
Oh, a few seconds.
You're mentioning
sorry.
something about Ibn Jarir. No.
Okay, cool. Malish, I'm so sorry about that, guys. I didn't even realize that I was gone until I looked at the screen and it was black. But yeah, okay. So as for Al-Ghasiq, Ibn Jarir says that it refers to the moon, whilst other scholars are of the opinion that it refers to the stars. But the most appropriate or the most authentic translation is that of Imam al-Bukhari, and Ibn Abbas also shares the same opinion, that Al-Ghasiq here is the night. Yani the Al-Ghasiq is the night. So and then when it waqabs, it means that when the setting, it refers to the setting of the sun and the appearance of the night. So when the sun sets and the night comes in, that is al-ghasiq wal-waqab. So basically, when the sun sets and the night appears, that's basically what ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب, all of which are applicable, by the way. So even Ibn Jarir's translation of it being the moon is also applicable here, because obviously the moon only comes out in the nighttime, and also the stars, even though they're present, you can only see them, are only visible to the eyes in the nighttime. And this is also similar to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in another ayah in the Quran, وَاللَّيْلِ وَمَا وَسَقْ وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَسَقْ. Yani, again, that when the night, by the night, when and whatever it envelopes, and also by the moon when it becomes full. So again, it's all in one in the same. And it's not far off, it's all in the same. Taib, Allah is guiding his believing servants to seek refuge with him from the evil that comes with the night. And as we all know, evil is associated for some reason with darkness, which is in turn associated with nighttime. Hence why, people are afraid of the dark. Little kids would not even, and sometimes even some adults would not go to sleep with the lights off. They have this ideology that something's going to get them in the dark. It's just innate, you know but with the recitation of this surah, that should be well, inshallah. Yani, hence the dua of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, was collected by Imam Ahmed and narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha, that the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took Aisha by her hand and showed her the moon and said, when the moon was fully in appearance, he said to her, yani, تعوذي بالله من شر هذا الغاسق إذا وقب. Yeah, and again, showing that could also be the translation of Ibn Jarir calling it the moon. The Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha radiallahu anha that seek refuge with Allah from the evil of this gossip, yani pointing to the moon. The Prophet ﷺ was pointing to the moon, that when it becomes dark, and seek refuge from Allah, seek refuge with Allah from the evil of this gossip. And this hadith was collected by At-Tirmidhi and Nasai, and was authenticated by Imam al-Albani. طيب, Allah then said, وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and from the evil of the blowers in knots. Now, the scholars of Tafseer, the likes of Al-Mujahid, Ikrimah, and Qatada, rahimahumullah ajma'in, all said that this, yani, min sharri, wa min sharri always obviously translates to from the evil. And nafathat, yani, this is where the tafsir comes in. And like I said, Mujahid and Ikrimah and Qatada, rahimahumullah, all said that this refers to witches, witches, yani. So when they perform the spells and then they blow into the knots, however they do it, they perform the spells and then blow in knots. And then again, this is another dalil that witches and wizards are real. Yani, black magic is a thing. It's not something to be fearful of, but it's something to protect yourself from. Yani, the admitting or acknowledging its realness is acknowledging what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this verse. So, yani, disregarding it is disregarding Allah's words as well, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has affirmed witchcraft, black magic, witches and wizards and all that kind of stuff. Allah has affirmed it in the surah and in plenty more surahs, in Surah Al-Baqarah. واتبعوا ما تتلى الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر إلى آخر الآية. So this is something that is affirmed. Of course, nothing can harm any human being unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows it to happen. As in the hadith of Ibn Abbas, remember the hadith when Ibn Abbas was riding with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said to him, Ya ghulam, do you not know that if the whole world was to come and they came to benefit you, none of them could benefit you except for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for you. And likewise, if they came to hurt you, if they came to try to harm you, none of them can harm you except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for you. The pen has been lifted and the ink is dry. Yani, they can't hurt you except for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written for you. And just like Allah said about about those that do magic and witchcraft in Surah Al-Baqarah, like I just mentioned, at the end of that ayah that I just read, Allah said, وَمَا هُمْ بِضَارِينَ بِهِ مِنْ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, that their magic could not harm anyone except by Allah's will. So yes, we affirm that there is black magic. We affirm that there's witches, there's witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. But we also affirm that their evil cannot hurt us, cannot harm us, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to. Again, Allah is the only one that can allow anything to happen in this world. The shayateen cannot allow anything to happen. They have no power of making anything to actually happen. They have powers of deceiving people, of blowing wasawis in people's ears and in people's hearts. But in reality, they cannot actually make any action happen to anybody. And no doubt, ikhwa, that any Muslim that practices black magic and witchcraft has left the fold of Islam, as this is considered major shirk, yani sab'a mubiqat. And this is from the 7 major sins of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that if a person was to practice black magic or witchcraft of any kind, then they have definitely fallen into shirk wa yadu billah. And shirk, as you guys know it, is that a person has left the fold of al-Islam. Tayyib. Now that brings us to the reason behind the revelation of this beautiful surah, which involved the story of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ when he was afflicted with witchcraft. You see, in the Sahih, in the chapter of the Book of Medicine, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah recorded that Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet ﷺ was bewitched until he thought that he was having relations with his wives, but he had not actually, in fact, had relations with them. And some of the companions said, scholars of Islam said, this is the worst form of magic. And when it reaches this stage, a person should really, really seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Oh Aisha, do you know that Allah has answered me concerning that which I asked him?" And Aisha said, "What was that?" He said, "While I was sleeping, 2 men came to me. One was sat at the by my feet, and the other one was sat by my head, and they were talking to each other. Yani one of them said to the other, 'What is wrong with this man?' The other replied, 'This man has been bewitched.' And the first one asked, 'Then who bewitched him?' Yani again, they were having a dialogue by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's bedside, so they can inform him about what happened to him. So the other one replied that the person that bewitched him is Labid bin Asim. Yani he's a man from the tribe of the Banu Zuraik, who is an ally of the Jews, and obviously is a hypocrite. Is not a Muslim. So the first one asked him again that, so how did he bewitch him? And how was the Prophet ﷺ bewitched? And the other one explained exactly how he was bewitched. He said with a comb, and in that comb, it had they took the Prophet ﷺ's hair from that comb. And the first one asked, "Where is this comb?" The other one replied, "It's in a dried, it's in a dried bark. Yani it's the bark is the bark of a tree, of a male date palm tree under a rock in a well called the Harwan." So the Prophet Aisha said the Prophet ﷺ got up from his sleep and he went to the well and removed it. And again, when he got there, he said that it was as if the water had henna soaked in it, and its palm trees were like the heads of the devil, and the head of the shayateen. So he removed it and destroyed it. And Aisha asked him, "Are you going to make this public? Are you going to tell the people about what just happened to you?" And Prophet ﷺ said, "I hate to spread the news of wickedness to any people, especially after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cured me from it." Again, goes back to if a person has, bad dream, when they wake up, it's best not to tell to nobody, just to make your ta'awudh, yani, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and keep it to yourself if it's a bad dream. ثم ختم ربنا جل وعلا بقوله ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Now, there are 4 categories of evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has encouraged us to seek refuge from in the surah, some of which we are aware of, and some of which we are heedless of. Yani, this last one, وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. So from the first one was وَمِن شَرِّ مَا خَلَقٍ, yani from the evil that he has created. The second one, مِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ, from the evil of the nighttime when it dawns upon us. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, from the evil of the magic doers, the witchcrafters, the black magic people. And then وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. And this is the final type of evil that Allah guided us to seek refuge from, of which many people may be heedless. Allah is guiding His servants to seek refuge from this evil of an envier when they envy. Al-hasid, hasidin idha hasad. A person that envies you when they envy you. Now, what does that entail? This is a very important note, which is we need to break it down. First of all, it's the difference between al-hasad wal-ghayra. Al-hasad translates to envy. And what does that mean? The way that we define in Islam, it means that a person feels unhappy at the betterment or at the better fortune or blessings or good quality of life of somebody else. Allah has bestowed somebody else with better life, quality of life, fortune, blessings, and you wish as a person that Allah would take it away from that person and give it to you. Or even if it's not given to you, Allah should take it away from that person. So there's two types, right? The first one is you want that blessings taken away from that person and brought to you. And even if he's not going to bring it to you, al muhim, take it away from that person. I don't want to see that person being blessed. That's very that's a very despicable, a blameworthy characteristic that we have to seek refuge from Allah, refuge with Allah from. Now, as for ghira, jealousy, then it has nothing to do with envy at all. Yani jealousy is for a person to wish to have the like of somebody else and to have the same thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon somebody else. Now, this can be whether from worship or knowledge or an abundance of wealth. So he asks Allah to be or he asks Allah to be blessed just like that individual without Allah taking it away from that individual. So obviously sometimes we all have this thing inside of us, something close to jealousy and also sometimes envy. Some people are able to control the nafs so much so that they're able to they understand the importance of qadar wal qadar, so they know that whatever a person has been decreed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they don't even allow themselves to get to the extent of envy. But jealousy is something that we all have. And as you guys remember, the hadith of our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, when she was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in her house, and one of the ghulam brought the food over from the other wife's house, and I think she must have broken the plate, or broken the plate, and the Prophet ﷺ told her that she had to replace it. Yeah, and she was jealous. So that's not the extent. There's no comparison between that and envy, which is, as we said, zawalil niyama and ghayr, yani that you want that niyama to be taken away from somebody else and brought to you, or if he's not going to be brought to you, just take it away from that person. Now, the Prophet ﷺ warned against this in a hadith that was collected by Abu Dawood, and that was narrated by Abu Huraira. He said, إياكم الحسد فإن الحسد يأكل الحسنات كما تأكل النار حطب. Yani that beware of envy, because envy devours good deeds the same way that fire devours wood or al-ushb or grass. Yani, so not only are you going to hurt somebody else with that envy of yours, but you're also going to hurt yourself, yani, because it's going to eat away from your good deeds. In another hadith that was narrated by Abu Huraira, the Prophet ﷺ said, إياكم والظن فإن الظن أكذب الحديث ولا تحسسوا ولا تجسسوا ولا تنفسوا ولا تحاسدوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تدابروا وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا. Yeah, this hadith is a very beautiful hadith because it summarizes everything, and it was collected by Al-Muttafaq alayhi, and it's Imam al-Bukhari wa Muslim. It says, beware of suspicion, for suspicion is the most false of tales, and do not seek out faults. Yani, do not seek faults from people. Do not try to spy on each other by trying to get, this person, what is it up to? Do not do that, and do not contend with each other. Yani, in terms of this dunya, yani, وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. يعني when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages to التنافس يعني that was for in the things of the akhirah. And what does that mean? So, for example, if a person was praying, was engaged in a lot of ibadah, it is encouraged for you to try to be like that person in terms of their action. So, for example, surround yourself with good people that are doing active ibadah. So, for example, this is the last 10 nights of Ramadan. People are going to get up and pray. It is encouraged for you to try to pray as well, to try to compete in good deeds of reading the Quran, giving sadaqah, praying at nighttime, all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is encouraged. As for the tanafus that's not encouraged, this is the one that is for this dunya. So, fil amwal, والبنين والأراضي يعني this kind of stuff يعني competition in terms of like having more money than the next man, having bigger houses, having cars, having kids. This is not a praiseworthy competition. So hence why the Prophet ﷺ said, do not contend with each other. And then he then said, do not envy each other. Yani do not envy each other. Do not hate each other and do not turn away from each other. Rather, be servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as brothers. So if a person finds something from that within themselves, then let them seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you find yourself being suspicious of people, trying to seek other people's faults, or trying to spy on people, or trying to do anything that this hadith has taught us not to do, then seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he should supplicate for the blessings of his brothers and sisters whenever they see something that they like with their brothers or sisters, and a person should not should not try to uh, try to get jealous in a way where that jealousy reaches a stage where you want that blessing taken away from your brother. As Allah said, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّى مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مما اكتسبوا وللنساء نصيب مما اكتسبوا واسألوا الله من فضله إن الله إن الله كان بكل شيء عليما. Yani that do not crave what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given some of you over others. Yani do not crave in terms of this dunya, even though it's innate for a person to want to be better. Do not crave it in such a way that it turns you ugly, that it turns your actions ugly. And it's innate for you to want to seek your risk in this dunya, but don't let it turn you against each other. And Allah says men will be rewarded according to their deeds, and so as women. And rather ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his bounties, and verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the perfect knowledge of all things. Now, hasad is one of the major sins that was exercised on earth, and envy between the sons of Adam. Remember Abil wa Qabil, and Qabil got envious of his brother Abil because Allah accepted his qurba, and Allah did not accept that of Qabil. So he got envious of him and said he was going to kill him. So he killed him. And obviously, so look what that happened. And from that envy alone, that led to a major sin. So not only is hasad a major sin in itself, it also births of the major sins. And from this case, as you can see, qatl, somebody killed a brother because of envy. So hence Allah's encouragement to seek refuge from it. So as we mentioned, it not only hurts the one that's envy does not only hurts the one that's being directed towards, but also it hurts the one that's actually carrying out the envy. So the envious one himself is getting hurt, and the one that's being envied as well is getting hurt. And sometimes as well, it can even lead to something worse than qatl. It can also lead to something that is kufr, wa yadu billah. Yani, a person can envy somebody so much so that they can fall into kufr, wa yadu billah. And what's the perfect example for that? That is the case of the Jews, the Yahudi, Ahlul Kitab. The reason why they didn't accept the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is because they were envious of him, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them. أم يحسدون الناس على ما آتاهم الله من فضله فقد آتينا آل إبراهيم الكتاب والحكمة وآتيناهم ملكا عظيما. Yani that do they envy? Allah is directing his kalam to the Jews now, or do they envy the people for Allah's bounties? Indeed, we have given the descendants of Ibrahim the book and wisdom along with great authority. أو كما قال سبحانه ود كثير من أهل الكتاب لو يردونكم من بعد إيمانكم كفارا حسدا. يعني لاحظ هنا حسدا من عند أنفسهم من بعد ما تبين لهم الحق. هذه الآية عظيمة جدا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, many among the people of the book wish that they could turn you back. You guys are believers, they want to turn you back into disbelievers. Why? Because of their envy. حسدا من عند أنفسهم. من بعد ما تبين لهم الحق. Even after the truth has been made clear to them. So not only is a person encouraged to seek refuge from the envious one, but also from being afflicted with envy, because none is safe. No one is safe from it, except the one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows mercy upon. When you find yourself, remember there's this hadith called ثلاثة ثلاث لا يسلم منهن أحد الطيرة والظن والحسد. قيل فما المخرج منها يا رسول الله؟ قال إذا تطيرت فلا ترجع وإذا ظننت فلا تحقق وإذا حسدت فلا تبغي رواه عبد الرزاق. Yani that there are three things the Prophet ﷺ said that there are three things from which no one is safe. From them is a tayyar, yani a bad omen, and people that's always superstitious, yani people that fall into superstition. The second one is suspicion. Yani, people are always suspicious of over people. What is he up to? What is he doing? And then the third one is envy. So they asked the Prophet ﷺ, how do we get out of this? Yani, the Prophet ﷺ, just stay away from superstition. Yani, do not actually enforce that superstition. When you find a superstition, when you have the superstition, do not put it into practice. And also, when you don't make up your mind from a suspicion, and if you are suspicious of somebody, do not make up your mind from that suspicion unless that person unless it's actually factual. And if you're envious of somebody, do not act against it. So this is a hadith to show that no one is safe from it, but also we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us from it. Now, the people of knowledge says that the envious one can heal themselves from this disease with two things. How do you stop yourself from being envious of other people? The first one is by knowledge, and by learning and affirming the concept of qada wal qadar, and the knowledge that everything is written, the pen has been lifted, and the ink is dry. No matter how much you envy another man, no matter how much you want that ni'mah to leave that man, it does not guarantee you getting that ni'mah. Yani it wouldn't add to that thing would not add to your sustenance. If anything, it can only harm you, as you found out in this hadith. يعني يأكل الحسنات كما يأكل النار العشب or الخشب. يعني so that's the first thing. The second thing is the righteous action. Well, firstly, when a person finds himself being envious of somebody else, they should make dua for that person, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should increase that person in barakah, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us. And if you find something that you like in your brother, and say Allahumma barak. And this is what you should say when you find your brother got a new watch, or you got a new car, and this is something that you like as well. So you should say Allahumma barak, make dua for him, instead of turn that anything that could actually lead to envy, turn into something positive, or to even prevent yourself from your own evil eye. And when somebody gives you something nice, or you look at your life and you're like, MashaAllah, this is a good life. It is encouraged for you to say, MashaAllah la quwwata illa billah, kama jaa fi Surah Al-Kahf. As it was mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, that when the Sahib was talking to the second Sahib, that if you had said when you entered your Jannah, when you entered your bustan, when you entered your garden, if you had said, MashaAllah la quwwata illa billah, then you would have been all right. Again, to protect yourself from your own evil eye, and also to protect yourself from the evil eye of other people. So when you meet somebody that has good things on, you say to them, Allahumma barak. And when you look at yourself and you're happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with, say, MashaAllah la quwwata illa billah. So this is something that encouraged. But as for the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, I know you guys heard about this hadith called لا حسد إلا في اثنين رجل آتاه الله مالا فسلطه على هلكته في الحق ورجل آتاه الله حكمة فهو يقضي بها ويعلمها. So this hadith says that there is no envy except in two situations. لاحظ يا إخوة قال لا حسد إلا في اثنين, that there is no envy except enviness is not allowed except in two cases. The first one is a person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given wealth to, and he spends it in the right way. And the second one is a person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given wisdom, i.e. knowledge, religious knowledge, and he gives his decision accordingly, and he teaches it to others. Now, the word envy in this hadith does not carry the real meaning of the envy that we've been talking about. Rather, it's a kind of rhetorical language. It basically means there is no admiration. The real meaning is admiration here. La admiration. There is no admiration. If you admire, you admire these two kinds of people who are blessed with knowledge of the Quran, and people who have been given wealth and they're spending their wealth in the way of Allah. And you wish that, oh Allah, if you bless me with the same, oh Allah, if you bless me with the ilm of the Quran, I'll also recite it all the time and I'll also put it into practice all the time. Now, both of these cases demonstrate how we should be grateful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, rather than feeling envious of those who have more than us or who are more knowledgeable than us. That brings us to the end of Surah Al-Falaq, and we're going to get into Surah Al-Nas, bihamdillahi ta'ala wa quwwati. Tayyib. Surah Al-Nas, as you guys know, is 6 verses, and it shares the same context of revelation as Surah Al-Falaq, as I mentioned at the beginning, which was revealed due to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ being afflicted with witchcraft by a man named Labid bin Asim. And the Prophet ﷺ encouraged the Muslim to recite Surah Al-Nas along with Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Ikhlas before going to sleep, and at the conclusion of our 5 daily prayers, in addition to Ayatul Kursi. This practice is narrated in a hadith collected by Imam al-Bukhari and narrated by Aisha radiyallahu anha, where it is mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ will recite this surah before sleeping, and it will blow over, and he will blow, after reciting them, he will blow it in his hands, in his cupped hands, and it would rub them all over his body. So this is from the status and the merits of the surah, and also as previously mentioned in Surah Al-Falaq. As for قوله قل أعوذ برب الناس، أعوذ أي أعتصم وأستجر، وقد تقدم بيان هذا معناه في سورة الفلق. And also again we've explained what this meant in Surah Al-Falaq when we said أعوذ al-isti'adha, to seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to stay close with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, away from anything that is not away from anything else, but you're sticking close to Allah. So the word a'udhu, as described previously, means seeking refuge and seeking protection from something by adhering closely to something else. In this case, you're adhering closely to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're staying away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to tell us. Now, Muslims are prohibited, as you guys know, we are prohibited from seeking refuge with anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not allowed to seek refuge with anything else. Al-isti'adha la yakun illa billah. We're not allowed to seek isti'adha with anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah admonishes those who seek refuge with other beings or other entities. في سورة الجن, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَنَّهُ كَانَ رِجَالٌ مِنَ الْإِنسِ يَعُوذُونَ بِرِجَالٍ مِنَ الْجِنِّ. Some men, from mankind, from human beings that used to seek, they increased each other in wickedness. Allah was admonishing the people that seek refuge with billah. Now a Muslim is not allowed to seek refuge or swear by anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not allowed to say, you're only allowed to say wallahi wa tallahi wa billahi, or you can swear by the way the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ swore in the ahadith, for example, Rabb al-Kaaba, by the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, meaning that, by putting Allah in front of the things that he has created, but you can't actually swear by the creation. You can swear by Allah and by the things that Allah owns, in terms of by saying Rabb al-Kaaba, Rabb al-Falaq, or Rabb, stuff like that, but you can't actually swear by al-Falaq by itself, and you can't swear by anything else but Allah Jalla wa Ala. طيب قوله قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس. Obviously this translates to say again, قل, Allah is commanding his Prophet Muhammad, say, O Prophet, I seek refuge with you, I seek refuge with the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, and the God of mankind. Now, these are 3 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the attributes of lordship, sovereignty, and divinity. And he affirms his supreme being and authority. This is known as Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. You guys know about Tawheed, أقسام التوحيد كام؟ 3. Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, wal-Asma'i was-Sifat. The Tawheed of lordship, the Tawheed of worship, and the Tawheed of names and attributes. Now, this يعني يجمع بين توحيد الربوبية وتوحيد الأسماء والصفات, because it says it has in it the Lordship of Allah, it has in it the attribute of Allah, Allah is Al-Malik, and also has in it Ilah, which is also Lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indicating that everything is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and it is owned by Him and subservient to Him. Yani seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who possesses these attributes is crucial. Again, actions are instructed to seek refuge with the one is possessing these three attributes. From what though? Yani قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس. What are we seeking refuge from? Now, the scholar Abu Hayyan, rahimahullah, explained the significance of this attribute in his tafsir of this surah. He said, since the harm of in the hereafter outweighs the that of this worldly life, Allah encourages seeking refuge using these three attributes. Yani Rabbun Nas, Lord of mankind; Malikin Nas, King of mankind; Ilahin Nas, God of mankind. And in Surah Al-Falaq, whereas in comparison to Surah Al-Falaq, we're only encouraged to seek refuge with one attribute, Rabb al-Falaq, yani the Lord of daybreak, even though we sought refuge from more than we sought refuge we sought refuge from four things. What are those things? يعني من شر ما خلق ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب. يعني from those four things we sought refuge from. That is because in Surah Al-Falaq, the things that we sought refuge from were worldly things. يعني مضرة الدنيوية, يعني things that could hurt us in this life. يعني worldly al-hasad, يعني only benefit, could only hurt you in this life. Enviness only hurts you in this life. شر ما خلق, يعني in this life, So whereas in Surah An-Nas, يعني these are spiritual things. يعني مضرة الأخروية, يعني مضرة الأخروية, things that are spiritual and you cannot see and you can actually put your hands on. Now, the scholars has interpreted that this and the whisperer is the devil. Yani, is that the whisperer? Yani, is the devil? قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس لا من شر الوسواس الخناس. Yani, the whisperer here that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about is the devil. Yani, min shar waswas al-khannas. Yani, meaning that the evil whisperer that lurks, and the lurking whisperer. So it's a whisperer that lurks in the darkness, and you can never, is always fleeting. It comes and goes. It withdraws. It comes. It makes himself appear, and it goes again. So the scholars interpreted that this whisperer is the devil that is assigned to mankind, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. For verily, there is not any children of Adam, except that they have a companion that beautifies wicked deeds and evil deeds for them. And this devil will go to any extent to confuse and confound Ibn Adam, the sons of Adam, to fall into this sin. It beautifies our whims and our whims and desires for us. Now, the only person who is safe from this is, as we all know, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as confirmed in the authentic hadith that states, ما منكم من أحد إلا قد وكل به قرينه. That there is not a single one of you except that he has a companion. A companion, a wicked companion has been assigned to him. The companions then asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what about you, Ya Rasulullah? He said, نعم إلا أن الله أعانني عليه فأسلم فلا يأمرني إلا بخير. That the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, even I do have a companion that encourages me, that's supposed to encourage me to do evil, except, however, Allah has helped me against that jinn, against that shaitan, that jinn, and he has accepted Islam. Thus, he only commands me to do good. And so, whereas the rest of us, we still have this thing, this Quran that's always encouraging us to do evil, that's always whispering in our mind to do evil, whereas the Prophet ﷺ does not have that. He has, his one has been made into a Muslim and only encourages him to do good. Ibn Abbas said concerning the last statement, al-waswas al-khannas, meaning the lurking whisperer, and that this is the devil who is squatting, and a devil that's always just lurking, upon the heart of the son of Adam. Yeah, and it's just always waiting there, always waiting for the right opportunity, just waiting to any opportunity that he has. So when we become absent-minded and heedless, and when we're not paying attention, we're not remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're absent-minded, we're with our thoughts, and we're heedless, then he whispers in our hearts. And then he gives us all kinds of afkar, and he gives us all kinds of thoughts, all kind of imagination, the wildest imagination. But then when we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he withdraws. And then it disappears again. And as for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement, Alladhi yuwaswisu fi suduri nas, meaning that the one who whispers in the hearts of mankind. And as you guys know, or you may not know, that there are different types of whispers. Whispers can come in all kinds of ways. It can come in a way of afkar, which means thoughts. Which means people have like the wildest of thoughts. So much so that one of the companions went to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, Ya Rasulullah, if only you knew what comes in our mind, and what comes in our mind in terms of the thoughts that we have, and we daren't say it. We daren't say it. And then the Prophet ﷺ told them to and the Prophet said, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Alhamdulillah, alladhi radda kaydahu ila waswasa. And then Allah is the most great, Allah is the most great, and all praise due to Allah, who has sent his shaitan's plot back only as whispers. And because this man would say that they keep this thought to themselves, and they would rather fall from the sky than say out this thoughts. You know what I'm saying? That this is how bad that this afkar is, and this wasawis, this whispers is. So shaitan will go to any extent. Remember, the goal of shaitan is to get the son of Adam to disbelief, because it's an everlasting fight, bro. It's an everlasting fight. From that moment on, when Allah told Shaitan, Iblis, to prostrate to Adam, and he said he was never going to prostrate because خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. He was made from clay, and Iblis was made from fire. There's no way he's going to bow. And they said he's going to misguide them from that moment on until the last hour. That's his job, to get them to disbelief. So that's why sometimes, the scholars say that shaitan will come to somebody in their thoughts sometimes and says, Man khalaqa hada, wa man khalaqa hada, wa man khalaqa hada. Who created this and who created that? You will say Allah. And then who created this? Allah. Who created that? Allah. He will get you asking who created this, who created it, until you get to the point where he says, and who created Allah? And then that's the part where he wants to start placing doubts in your heart and wasawis in your heart to get you to disbelieve. Wa'iyadhu billah. As for the wasawis, you guys know about the advice of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he gave us in Salah. He said that whenever one of you find yourself traveling, your mind is traveling in Salah, and he doesn't know if he's done this, if he's mid ruku, or he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. His mind is left in Salah. He should blow to his left 3 times and say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You blow 3 times and say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and carry on your prayer. Shaitan would not make you focus in your prayer. It goes, is around, and when he has the adhan, it goes, it comes back again. When he has the iqama, it goes, it comes back again. And then when you start praying, it stays with you. It tries to it tries to steal from your salah by his wasawis, so much so that he doesn't want you to benefit. So it's going to want to stay with you until you finish your prayer. Hence why people have this wasawis in their salah. Also, people have the wasawis when it comes to tahara. For example, in terms of purity, they go, oh, I don't know if I just had a trickle down, like I don't know if it's a trickle or if it's a wet, or if it's if I just wash myself, so they spend a lot of time in the washroom, washing themselves, instead of, they will do over and over and over and over again, because they keep getting this wasawis in their head. Oh, I don't know if I've passed wind. So they go and make wudu again, and they haven't heard nothing, and then they make wudu again. This is from the shaitan playing with you with his wasawis. Whenever your person feels this, a person should say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Or a person should say, recites Qul a'udhu al-Mua'withaatayn, Qul a'udhu bi Falaq, and Qul a'udhu bi Naas, and the wasawis will leave them bihawlillahi ta'ala wa quwwatih. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Min al-jinnati wan nas, yani emphasizing that the shayateen is of two types. Yani it's not just this. Do not think that the shayateen is from the jinn only. Yes, yes, it originated from the jinn because, as you know, the first sin as what that was committed in the heavens, is that of the jinn. Remember, shayatan is kana min al-jinn, yani is from the jinn. Yani Iblis was from the jinn. It was not a malaika. It was from the jinn. Allah raised him in status because he used to be a good jinn, and Allah then told him to prostrate when وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً and وإذ قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the malaika to bow, أبى واستكبر, يعني everybody bowed إلا إبليس أبى واستكبر وكان من الكافرين. يعني he refused and he was prideful, and that's where that sin began. That's where that sin. So the fact that he showed that he was shayateen from that moment on, because that was the first disrespect. That was the first sin that was cursed. That was actioned by any creation, but as in the heavens at that time, and that was from the jinn. Hence why Allah began min al jinnati and ash-shayatin min al jinn, and it originated from the jinn, min al jinnati wan nas. So there's shayatin from the jinn, and also the shayatin from the mankind. And this is similar to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about the shayatin jinn and mankind. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُحْيِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرِفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. That. And so we have appointed for every prophet enemies, shayateen from the mankind and shayateen from the jinn, and inspiring one another with adorned speech as a delusion. And also, as Allah mentioned as well, the shayateen min al-ins, the shayateen from the mankind, they seek refuge from the shayateen from the jinn. So when you find a man, those people that say they can read palms, and those people that say they can read cards, the tarot cards, those people that say they can read the sand, or those people that say they can tell you about your future, just know, just know that anybody that said that they can tell you anything about the future, be it through reading
Because
cards,
your
be it through
voice is
reading your
lagging.
palm, be it through reading a thing, and stay away from them, because even if you were to go and my voice is lagging.
He's back on now. Yeah,
Okay.
it's clear. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Malish. Yeah, basically I was saying that if a person was yani that if a person was to, and do not give your time, a day in a time, to anybody that said they can tell you about the future, yani be it from by reading your palm, or be it by reading cards, or be it by just reading sand or whatever. Stay away from them, because even if you were to listen to them out of curiosity, you pay that price as a Muslim. Allah is not going to accept your salah for a number of days. So a person needs to stay away from them. And if you were to believe them, then you would have left the fold of al-Islam. وَيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ. So لعلنا نكتفي بهذا القدر إن شاء الله. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq wa sadad. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا.
Jazakumullah khair, Mr. Yusuf, Abu Saleh, for these highly beneficial class. I believe most of us will not be reading the surah the same light anymore. As we're reading them now, we know the meaning, and not just the meaning. We can do tadabbur on each ayat. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and count us among those that will benefit and implement these lessons from this surah to these Mua'withaatayn in our daily lives. Please, if you have any question, be it you prefer to ask verbally, or you want to type, please feel free to do so, inshallah, regarding the topic of discussion, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh
Okay.
Luqman. Wajaz-
I have a question, Sir Yusuf.
Tafadhal.
Now, just in terms of the reading it at night, to before going to bed, to use as a cream to rub your body. Two questions actually. Does that include Surah Ikhlas? And I get different opinion about how do you go about doing it. Do you read everything at once in your palm, then blow 3 times, or every time you read each of them, you blow into your hand? How can you
Yeah.
advise we go about that?
Jazakallah khairan for your question, Sheikh Luqman. Na'am. Regarding that, it was a hadith that was collected by Imam al-Bukhari on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha, and she said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite every night before going to sleep Mua'withaatayn wa qul a'udhu birabbil falaq. I mean, qul a'udhu qul huwallahu ahad, Surah al-Ikhlas. And he would cup his hands. Like when you're about to drink water, if you have no cup and you want to drink water, you would cup your hand and you would place your hand under the tap. So he would cup his hands like exactly like that, and he would recite all of them. So he would recite Qul a'udhu qul huwallahu ahad 3 times and blow. He would recite Qul a'udhu birabbil falaq 3 times and blow, and he would recite Qul a'udhu birabbin nas 3 times and blow, and would wipe it all over his body. So that's inclusive of Qul a'udhu birabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu birabbin nas, and Qul huwallahu ahad. As for Ayatul Kursi, this was found in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, when you remember the hadith of when he used of the stock house, yeah, the house that keeps the food, and this Iblis would come every night to try to steal. It came in the form of a man, and the first night he let him go, the second night he let him go. Anyways, the Prophet ﷺ came to him and said to him, "Do you know who that person is?" He said, "He's the Prophet ﷺ told him that it was Belize." And then he said, "What did he give you?" He said, "He gave me he will protect me from any evil eye and any witchcraft." The Prophet ﷺ said, "Yes, the devil was right, even though he's always lying. In this part, it told you the truth, even though he's a liar." So you're supposed to recite it every night and also after every salah. So I hope that answered your question, Sheikh Lukman. So yes, in
No.
terms of how many times you do it, you read it 3 times and blow, and then read Kul Huwallahu 3 times and blow, and read Kul A'udhu Birabbin Nas 3 times as well and blow, and rub it around your body.
Jazakumullah khair. And I guess that you can do that for your kids, those that couldn't recite themselves. You can do that for them, I believe. Is that correct? For your child that couldn't recite
You
this
do for
word.
your kids before they go to sleep every time. Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Jazakumullah khair. I think we really appreciate the time. That's an hour and 15 minutes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept it from you as a ibadah. Just the few minutes we have before I round up, I would just like to share some of our progress. The partnership, TMP partnership with TWF this Ramadan, with your help, with your donation, we've managed to raise substantial amount of of, of money. So I just want to. So this is with your help, we managed to. This is the most we've raised. This is the most family we fed. Thanks to all the donation with the rahmah of Allah, through your means, through you, we managed to raise 43 family in Lagos, 55 family in Osun State, and 40 family in Kaduna. And at the moment, we plan to prepare iftar meal, hot meal for our brother and sister in Nigeria. And with your donation, we'll be able to achieve our target. Jazakumullah khair. I'll watch this video.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we pass the midpoint of the blessed month of Ramadan, we would like to extend an urgent appeal to you, our beloved community, Together, we have achieved many great things, and we remain committed to providing wholesome iftar meals to those fasting and in need. As always, your support is vital to make this a reality. With £2, you can provide a healthy and delicious meal for a fasting person. Just imagine the impact of your contribution, easing the hunger of those fasting and ensuring they have a nourishing meal to break their fast. Let's unite in the spirit of giving and compassion. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Whoever feeds a person breaking his fast will earn the same reward as him, without anything being lessened from the reward of the fasting person." Every donation, no matter the amount, helps us in our mission to support our fasting brothers and sisters. Please donate today and be a part of this great cause. Jazakumullahu khair wa barakallahu feekum. The Wellness Foundation, doing good for others.
Jazakumullah khair for your time. I think that will mark the end of the class. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be very one of you and accept our ibadat and allow us for among those that witness lead us to the qadr in this last day night. On that note, we say, Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakum Ustaz Yusuf. Barakallahu feek.